Let's raise the big questions. How widespread is sexual harassment on our campuses? Is there simply little protection for girl students, especially from their own teachers? Is justice above politics possible in such cases? Joining me now, Lalita Kumaramangalam is a former chairperson at the National Commission for Women. Ranjana Kumari is director for the Center for Social Research and prominent activist herself. And Akriti Bhatia is a former assistant professor at Miranda House and a sociologist. I appreciate your joining us. I want first to put a figure which has stunned me while doing research, and I want each of you to respond to that. A 2018 NSUI survey in Delhi University said 1 in 4 women face sexual harassment on their campus. A 2022 survey done by Satyaki Dasgupta and Anisha Mukherjee, both research scholars, showed 1 in 10 had been sexually assaulted in higher education institutions. Lalita Kumaramangalam, quick responses from all of you to these numbers first. What seems to have happened in Orissa could be symptomatic of a wider problem. A woman in a campus is not safe.
Rajdeep, from the data that you have just given us, it's fairly obvious that it is exactly as you say it is. That in India, on campuses across the country, women are still not safe. It is 2025 and we need to really hang our heads in shame if in our educational institutions, in our universities, our colleges, maybe even our schools, our girls are not safe. The whole country, in fact, the whole world says that without education, a woman will always remain as almost like a second-class citizen of her country and the world. So when we are desperately trying to bring women into the mainstream, to help them to live better lives, empowerment seems a very hollow word sometimes, Rajdeep. What empowerment when women are not even safe from their own teachers? You know, from birth, you're taught that you respect your teacher. They teach you, they empower you, they train you, they show you how life should be lived. When one of them is going to harass women, and in such a way that they can't even protect themselves, and the system, the entire system, whether it's the police or politics or the bureaucracy.
No, here the principal, ma'am, here the principal was actually seen to protect the professor rather than take the side of the student, was seen to protect the professor.
No FIR has yet been filed. So the entire system is actually protecting the perpetrator, the criminal, and not another young girl whose life has unnecessarily been lost. I mean, this is happening too often everywhere.
Okay, the professor and the principal, of course, have since been arrested. But Akriti Bhatia, when you first heard of this story, you're a former assistant professor at Miranda House in Delhi. Are you surprised by it? Were you surprised at the manner in which this is taken? There seems to be an asymmetry of power between the professor and the principal, both men, and a woman who's gone to complain. That scene where the accused is around the same table as the woman, in a way, reflects perhaps the asymmetry of power.
No, Rajdeep ji, I wasn't surprised because unfortunately, there's an outrage only when there's a serious incident or a big case that gets highlighted, or if there's somebody who kind of just opens up about something big. But actually, it's an everyday issue for students and even for female faculty members. It's something that is according to the same study that you reported, over 40% also refrain from reporting such incidents. So this also has to say something
you're saying 40%. Let me get that right.
The kind of
so that because ma'am, there's a problem with your audio, but let me get that right. You said 40% of women who suffer from sexual harassment refrain from reporting it. Am I correct? As per that report.
Yes, that they keep the same one, the one which says that 1 in 10 had been sexually harassed in higher education institutions, and the reasons are very simple. It's because they fear from resisting against figures of authority, and they do not trust the institutions because they feel that institutions will again prefer reputation over justice. And thirdly, if they are reporting such instances, there's another structural issue that they might have to discontinue their academic their studies, and they might be married off. So what we really need to talk about here are the larger structural issues which women face every day. And what ends up happening is that there's moral policing, and students are given weird, very unrealistic curfew timings, and those kinds of things. So
Right.
what we really need to do is to challenge, and this ICC, the GS Cash, the Gender Sensitization Committee Against Sexual Harassment, really needs to step up. And they really need to kind of the 99% of these colleges have reported zero incidents, which is absolutely not the case. And this is not in any way reflecting safety in campuses. It's reflecting silence, it's reflecting ignorance. And I think this is what really needs to be
Right.
challenged. And the Odisha case is one such example, where repeated attempts and courage of the student to repeatedly bring it up also did not help, and we see such incidents happening.
Arkiti,
I
I'm
think
just going to stop you. I'm just going to stop you for a moment because you raised the issue of complaints committees. Now, Ranjana Kumari, in this particular case, there was an internal complaints committee. The student goes there. The committee apparently carries out an investigation, claims that they did not find any corroborative evidence of sexual harassment, but still recommends the transfer or suspension of the HOD. What does the principal do? Sit on it and apparently plan to reinstate the HOD. The girl gets desperate, eventually self-immolates herself. What are these committees all about? These internal complaint committees, if they are not able to resolve these issues, then there is something seriously wrong with these committee systems.
Well, Rajdeep, we sit on 39 government and corporate sector committees, internal complaints committees. I can tell you the internal story. They are supposed to have every quarterly meeting. They don't have it. They are supposed to inform every employee, everybody in that particular unit working, that there is this committee, this is the address, this is the phone number. Anyway, this college story is little different, because in this college they had the committee, and that's our regular experience, that they do right. And as you heard, that 40% women don't complain. 300 whole of the 2023, they have reported only 376 instances across the country. UGC received only 376 cases. Now what does that speak? There is not an institution, there is not a college, there is not a university where there is a direct relationship of either boss and the someone who's working under him, or there is a professor, and that's a very close relationship, because students have to study, they have to submit their dissertations, research. There's a constant contact, and in that there is so much of harassment goes on. We studied in the primest institution of this country, but there also there were cases, and we had to fight and complain and get the professors held accountable for that. But what really happens when women complain? So on her side, she's so worried that everybody will isolate her. She has to keep silent, otherwise everybody, she's a troublemaker, or she is not telling the truth. That's where it starts, that she's not honest, she's not telling the truth. She wants something, some favor, that's why she's doing it. Number two, the people who sit on the committee to inquire, and we have sat, and I told you my personal experience sitting on these committees, that they all gang up. When I say they all gang up, means if this is the position of authority, somebody has, then everybody, principal, professor, lecturer, everybody, the committee members will gang up. I do not know who were sitting on their committee in this college. Were there any external member? Did they have regular meetings of these committees? And then, you see, she died not because she was she complained and she did not. She died because there's an institutional silence. They pushed her. They have driven her to commit suicide, and they should be held responsible, because
You're
after
saying
that, she got the
you're saying they've driven her to commit suicide. I just want to throw some numbers, ma'am. Just a minute. The number of sexual harassment complaints reported by higher education institutes in 2017-18, and these are only reported, as was pointed out, 40% cases don't even get reported. 2017-18, universities reported 46 cases while colleges reported 3. Numbers spiked in 2018-19, universities filing 141 complaints, colleges 31. 2019-20, 266 from universities, 24 from colleges. 2020-21, 51 complaints from universities, 37 from colleges. It went up to 38 university complaints, 2 from colleges in 21-22. then to 378 cases in 22-23, colleges filed 47. This is UGC figures. The point that is being made, Lalita Kumaramangalam, the NCW, for example, many believe that it is a body which is toothless and also will strike depending on which is the ruling government. If it's an opposition ruled state, because NCW in a way is given its members come from the central government, they will quickly move into that state. Don't move when there's a BJP ruled state. Are all these bodies also needing, they need a reality check, yes or no?
Yes, absolutely. It also a lot depends on the head of the organization. If that particular person is not worried about advancement in politics or bothered about politics or offending anybody in her own state, etc., then yes, some good work can get done. But otherwise, there is an enormous amount of pressure, which is, I suspect, exactly what happened in this case. Because it's very strange that an FIR was not filed. Also, Rajdeep, I think that all committees should have at least a minimum of 50% outside members. Otherwise, as Akriti said, it's packed with people who want to somehow save the reputation of the college, somehow make sure that, as Ranjana ji said, that the girl is painted as a liar or bad character or wanting a favor, etc., etc. I don't know if getting more 50% of the complaints committee members from external sources would work out. But the problem is that as of now, because education has become huge money in this country, let's not forget that. Everybody is too busy saving their own vested interests, and nobody really seems to bother. It seems to have been almost internalized.
So you make a good point. You make a good point. You make a good point. It's reputation over justice in a way. Let's save the reputation of the college and let's not sully it with what a girl student has said. Akriti, do you believe that it is even worse in smaller towns than in urban centers? You taught in Delhi University. Is there a greater protection in an urban center, in a place like Balasore? Perhaps the equation, the asymmetry of power is even greater in favor of the men.
Definitely, I think it would have. It's going to be much worse in tier 2, tier 3 cities and towns. But I would also make a comparison within Delhi. I studied from a premier institution, SRCC, and during fest time, there were so many cases during concerts that there was inappropriate touching that was reported, but still nothing major could happen. You couldn't identify. There were dark spaces, and then the whole Pinjra Tod movement. So I would want to make a point here. A lot is also about campus politics, the kind of campus politics that is prevalent, where women, girls are vocal enough to report instances. But if I compare my master's in JNU, it was a completely different kind of an environment. At 3 a.m., it was absolutely normal for girls to go from library to hostels. So I think within Delhi you will find these kinds of asymmetries, but in Delhi University, I would still say that the politics is quite rogue and rowdy, and you find
but you're saying the emphasis is in a way on the college administrations. They are the ones who have to create those kind of safe spaces. Am I correct broadly? Colleges, when you mentioned JNU there, if the college provides safe spaces, then you in a way empower the woman. If you don't provide that, then you don't do so, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So administration is definitely something that is very, very pertinent in this case. But the ICC is actually dysfunctional across, because as we said, there are very big structural reasons of why certain incidents do not get reported. In fact, girl students don't even know many times that a professor or a staff person who's just casually making catcalling remarks and all would fall under the purview of sexual harassment.
You
So I
make a
think
very
there's
good
a lot of awareness that needed.
you make a very good point about casual sexism, and that brings me to a final point there, Ranjana Kumari. Is part of the here are professors. You would expect professors to be socially conditioned to recognize what constitutes sexual harassment or casual sexism, but even that appears in this case certainly not to have happened. Instead, the professor, by all accounts, seems to have seized on the vulnerability of the student. is that something that is even more deeply troubling? That here is a college professor, a college administration where this happens.
Rajiv, first of all, sexism is sexism. There is nothing casual about it. So I really beg to differ with you that sexism is prevalent, and that's what happens. I'm glad that Akriti brought the point about JNU. My own experience in JNU has been great. We have been all activists, working there day, night, library, whatever, friends, boys, girls.
Right.
There was nothing, no, because the cultural ethos of the university, from the time the university started, we were third batch of the university, and we all created that kind of a culture in the university, and authorities supported that. But here, when you go to tier 2, tier 3 cities, roads are not safe, homes are not safe, workplaces are not safe, and similarly university, I mean, college centers are not safe, colleges are not safe. Now, educational institution, I want to fix responsibility. UGC should ensure whether these committees are functional. UGC has to bring a review report, perhaps present to the Parliament of India, that what is happening to our campuses, why
But there
so
are
many girls
hundreds.
are.
You see, part of the problem there, Ranjana ji, there are hundreds of campuses, as was just mentioned. You have colleges exploding. Many of them capitation fee colleges that are looking only to make money. Who is going to
So
control and monitor,
we
especially
cannot,
some of these private
I think,
colleges?
Rajdeep, these can be all controlled. Globally, it gets controlled. Why we are not able to do it? Because nobody is bothered about what's happening to women. You can silence them. You can drive them to commit suicide. You can get all the people harassing them can get away with. There is no punishment system, which is, nobody, police did not write an FIR. Can you imagine? I mean, some girl has to commit suicide and she approached everybody. As I heard the whole thing, I spoke to people there. I think she approached the MLA, she approached the education minister. So
Right.
many things she did to
Minister.
get justice. But everybody connived together,
I,
and they really
I,
chose silence over justice. That's what
okay.
happened in this case.
Silence over justice, trying to protect the reputation of a college, which was in any case should have been under the scanner ahead of justice, and now politics over justice. All that we want in cases like this is swift justice and exemplary measures taken to ensure that such incidents don't happen. The UGC can't wash its hands away, nor can college administrations. What happened to this Beti of Orissa is unacceptable. And this is true of any state in the country. Stop playing politics with it. Ensure swift and sure justice above all else would be the message. I appreciate my guests joining us and shedding light on what is, dare I say, one of the worst kept secrets in our college campuses.